You just finished a 12-hour shift. Your feet hurt. Your back hurts. You walk toward your cabin, 9 decks below the pool and the buffet, into a room the size of a walk-in closet. This is the only place on the entire ship where you can finally rest. But for most crew members, that room isn't a relief. It's the part of the job they actually hate most. So what's actually going on in there? Here's the assumption almost every passenger makes without even thinking about it. If you work on a 5-star ship, your cabin, while smaller than a guest suite, is probably fine. A bed, a door. Enough privacy to recover before the next shift. That assumption falls apart the second you see where these rooms actually sit inside the ship. Guest cabins get the good real estate. Ocean views, balconies, easy access to restaurants and the pool. Crew cabins follow a different rule entirely. Efficiency. On most ships, that means pushing them low in the hull, often below the waterline, into the tightest, least valuable space on board. No portholes, no natural light. Just a steel room lit by a single fixture next to a corridor that never really goes still. So what's actually inside one of these rooms? A standard shared crew cabin runs about 9 feet by 9 feet. That's the footprint of a small walk-in closet. Into that space goes a set of bunk beds, a narrow desk, a wardrobe, a small fridge, and 1 bathroom shared by everyone assigned there. 2 roommates is typical. 3 or 4 happens too. A room meant to help one exhausted body recover becomes shared living quarters for multiple people at once, so small that only one person can stand up at a time. Everyone else waits their turn. For the sink, for the mirror, for 10 quiet minutes that never quite arrive. Even the bunk becomes a small negotiation. The bottom one is the good one, easier to get in and out of during a quick turnaround, and crew members claim it the moment a roommate's contract ends, sometimes before the sheets are even changed. But the size of the room is only half the story. The real problem is what's happening on the other side of the wall. A cruise ship never actually shuts down. While passengers sleep off a day on shore, the engine room is running at full load. The anchor chain is grinding through its housing at the next port. Galley staff are prepping breakfast for thousands. Housekeeping carts are already rolling through service corridors before sunrise. Crew cabins sit directly inside that machinery. Many are placed near engine casings, mooring stations, or areas where heavy equipment runs around the clock. The vibration isn't occasional, it's constant. A low mechanical hum bleeding through the steel, no matter what hour you're trying to sleep. Crew members who've worked multiple ships say they learn to tell the time without a clock, just from which mechanical sound is happening outside the door. The anchor drop at 5 a.m. becomes as familiar as an alarm. Except nobody set it, and nobody can turn it off. And here's the part most passengers never even consider. 2 roommates can share that exact 9 by 9 room and almost never be asleep at the same time. Crew scheduling isn't built around comfort. It's built around covering the ship every hour of every day. That means roommates are routinely put on opposite shifts. One works the overnight rotation crew members call the dog watch, midnight to 6. The other works a normal daytime schedule. So, at almost any hour, someone in that room is trying to sleep while the other one is getting dressed, or coming back sweaty from a double shift, or just wanting to unwind after a brutal night. There's no second room to disappear into. There's a curtain, if you're lucky, and an unspoken deal to keep quiet, one that rarely survives contact with reality. Crew members swap stories about entire systems built around a single alarm clock, muffling it, hiding it, swapping the tone for white noise. All just so one roommate can steal a few more minutes of sleep without waking the other. So does it help if roommates at least live near people on the same schedule? Not really. Crew cabins aren't scattered randomly. They're grouped into what crew call neighborhoods, sections of the lower decks organized loosely by department. Sounds like it should help. People on similar schedules, living near each other. Often, it does the opposite. A block near the galley means early risers hauling produce before dawn, doors slamming down the same corridor hour after hour. A block near the entertainment crew means the reverse. Dancers and musicians filtering back after midnight shows, showering, decompressing, adrenaline that doesn't switch off just because the audience went home. Whichever neighborhood you land in, someone's peak noise hours get baked directly into your address. So why not just build bigger crew quarters and fix this at the source? Because the math of a cruise ship doesn't allow it. Every square foot on board is treated as potential revenue. A cabin expanded for crew comfort is, on paper, a cabin that could have been sold to a paying guest, or turned into another bar, another lounge, another attraction earning money for the length of the voyage. Crew space isn't profitable, it's overhead. And on a ship engineered down to the square foot, overhead gets squeezed as hard as it can possibly be squeezed. A few of the newest ships have started chipping away at this, adding solo cabins with a shared bathroom between 2 rooms instead of 4 bunks crammed into 1. But that's a handful of vessels, not the standard across a global fleet that still runs into the hundreds. That squeeze shows up everywhere else too, not just the walls. Most entry-level contracts run 4 to 10 months at sea with almost no days off. 10 to 13-hour shifts, 7 days a week, is the norm across hospitality and food service. So that cramped, noisy cabin isn't some minor inconvenience at the edge of the job. It's the only place a person has to physically and mentally recover between shifts that barely leave room to breathe. When your entire life for months narrows down to a shift on the ship and a bunk in a windowless room, the condition of that room stops being a footnote. It becomes the difference between finishing a contract in one piece and burning out halfway through it. Then there's the walls themselves. Crew areas, unlike guest decks, weren't built with much acoustic thought at all. Conversations carry. Footsteps carry. An alarm going off at 5:30 in the next cabin might as well be going off in your own. Quiet hours exist on paper, and most crew respect them out of basic decency toward people they'll live beside for months. But decency only stretches so far when your shift ends at 2 in the morning and you still need to shower, eat, and wind down enough to sleep in a room where somebody else is already trying to. Rough weather makes it worse in a way that's easy to overlook. Lower decks pitch and roll more than the decks above. Closer to every groan and shudder, the hull makes fighting the sea. On a calm crossing, barely noticeable. On a night with real swell, crew describe gear sliding inside lockers, doors creaking against their frames, a general unease that makes deep sleep even harder to reach. All while knowing the next shift starts in a few hours, regardless of how the night went. So what does months of this actually do to a person? Sleep deprivation on a cruise ship isn't a rare hardship story. It's closer to the baseline condition of the job. Crew describe turnaround days when thousands of passengers leave and thousands more board within hours, where sleep gets reduced to fragments stolen between tasks instead of one solid block at night. Fatigue like that doesn't just make people tired, it slows reaction time, sours moods, strains the very roommate relationships that are supposed to make months at sea bearable. Some crew members quit contracts early for reasons that look on paper like homesickness or burnout. Underneath it, the real reason is simpler. They just couldn't get a proper night's sleep for months on end. So if the room is free, why do so many crew members call it one of the worst parts of the job? Because a place to sleep and a place to actually rest are two very different things. A crew cabin guarantees the first. It very often fails to deliver the second. And that gap is where exhaustion quietly builds, contract after contract, month after month, in a room most passengers will never even know exists. Further up the ranks, the picture changes completely. Officers and senior staff often get single cabins, sometimes even a small window, a small upgrade that reveals exactly how the whole system is designed.
Comfort on a cruise ship isn't distributed evenly. It's distributed by rank the same way it's distributed on the passenger side by how much someone paid for their ticket. The steward who made your bed this morning and the officer who charted tonight's course are sailing on the exact same ship toward the exact same port, living under two completely different definitions of a decent night's sleep. So next time you're stretched out in a spacious balcony cabin, listening to nothing but water outside, remember that several decks below you, behind a plain door with no window and no name on it, someone who kept your cruise running today is trying to fall asleep in a room built for efficiency, not rest. The ship never really goes quiet down there, and the one space that's supposed to be their escape from it is, in almost every practical sense, still part of the machine.